I left New Mexico, and I got a job in Ypsilanti, Michigan. At Eastern Michigan University. And the job that I wanted and got was teaching in their laboratory school, a school called Roosevelt School. They had 2 first grades, 2 second grades, all the way up through. They had being a private school as such, they could pick their enrollment. And so they tested the kids, and they tried to build a bell curve IQ standard. And that would make any research that we did more viable. And I was the art teacher. And I taught the kids life drawing. I taught the kids to visualize. I taught the kids there are no rules in art, there are only visions. And we bring these visions to reality. I taught them how to remote view. So when we went into an art gallery or a museum, they would line up in front of the paintings they thought they would like, and they would stand in front of the painting, and they could enter the painting with their mind. And if the painter was a good painter and build things up, they could go into the painting and walk among all the layers. And the more dimension the painting had, the happier they were. And I did this all the time that I taught there, and hundreds and hundreds of kids. We go to a Detroit museum the first time, and the kids lined up in front of a painting and started walking towards it and getting about 18 inches from it, and the guards got all excited. So a couple of the 6th graders took the guards aside and taught them how to remote view into a painting. And the guards were so excited about that, they called the lounge, and all the other guards that were actually off duty came down, and my kids taught them all how to remote view into the paintings. That was really fun. Now, I had an hour during the day, and Mel Sudd, who taught 6th grade, was one of my good friends. And Mel admired all the things that I was doing in the art program. So he asked me one afternoon if I would mind babysitting 2 of his students that were disrupting his math segment of his class. And I said, sure. I said, what'll I do with them? He says, do anything you want to. I said, can I teach them math? And he looked at me and he said, I thought you were mathematically challenged. And I said, I am. Very much so. But I'd be interested in exploring mathematics with these young men. And so we were put in a cloakroom. Now the cloakroom was about 8 feet wide, 20 feet long, and had a door that went out in the corridor, an old-fashioned cloakroom. And these 2 guys came in and sat down. And the first thing I asked them is, how much is 4 and 4? How much is 4 and 4? And they said, that's stupid. I said, okay. Would it be interesting to you to try and figure out how many ways we can find to get to the number 8? Like 4 and 4 is 8. That's easy, they said. I said, well, can you do it? They said, sure. So they did all these ways of getting to 8. And then I said to them, after we got all these ways, I said, you didn't ask a question that you should always ask in mathematics. They said, what? I said, you didn't ask 8 what? It could be 8 apples. It could be 8 pairs of shoes. It could be 8 dozen. And all of these would influence what your answer would be. Oh, they said. Okay, now, I said, you understand in normal mathematics that Mel teaches, process is important. That's the most important thing. Right? In mathematics, as I see it, the most important thing is the expected answer. And you have to devise your own way of getting to that answer. Like 4 and 4 is 8. But how the other ways, all the other ways of getting to 8. So now, I have a book at home that I'll bring for next class. And this book is very special because it was made by a mathematics professor who was interned at Auschwitz. And to keep himself from going crazy, he wrote this book on mathematics with a base of 13. Now you understand that our mathematics is based on 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's why it's based on 10. But to do 13 is a whole different concept. So the next day I brought the book, and I had Xeroxed the first chapter, and they learned it. And they told their friends about it, and a couple of guys asked Mel if they could join us. So we got 4 more guys, sat down. The first 2 guys taught the 4 guys everything. They went through all the lesson. I just sat there and watched them. I said, you guys bring these guys up to speed, will you? And so they did, and they taught them exactly what I had done, of 4 and 4, and had them go through the whole ritual. And then we did the next chapter of this book. And more students. And every time we went to the next chapter, we had more students. And the students that were already there taught the ones that were coming in and brought them up to speed. Well, in a couple of weeks, in fact, it wasn't even that long, we asked Mel if he could bring his students into the cloakroom, because we had the majority of the class. He only had 4 students left, and I had everybody else out of 20. So he asked his students, would they be interested in doing what we were doing? And they said yes, they would be. So he said, Roger, why don't you just bring everybody in and you continue to teach the class? I said, and you can teach me as well. So we did. We went back, and all the people that already knew, the young men and women that already knew how to do everything, went and got in little groups and taught everybody. And the original 6 guys taught Mel. And everything went fine, and Mel was very excited about it all. Then it came to the last problem. And Mel tried, but he couldn't get it. He couldn't understand it. He was too tied in to the belief system of 10. So he got up and he said, okay, we've got this last chapter to do, in the book of 13. And I've tried to do it and can't. So I'll buy a milkshake to anyone that can figure this out.